Discussions between the Chinese and the Soviets about acquiring a robust new fighter aircraft kickstarted in 1988. The Soviet Union sold 3 Su-27s to China before its collapse, after which the nascent Russian government proceeded to fulfill the remainder of the order. More notably, Russia allowed China to produce its distinct variant of the Su-27 domestically. The heavy reliance on Soviet-era military tech prompted China to take inspiration from Russia's Sukhoi Su-27 fighter jet for future development. With the large number of Chinese J-20 stealth fighter jets in service, more and more Russians have begun to realize China's technical strength in the field of advanced fighter jets. However, there are still some Russians who are immersed in the past glory of the Russian military aviation industry and are unwilling to wake up. Meanwhile, China continues to strengthen its independent research and development capabilities and reduce its reliance on foreign technology. It's no secret that the Shenyang J-11 fighter jet bears a striking resemblance to the Sukhoi Su-27. China was the first, and only foreign recipient of this advanced aviation tech from the Soviet Union before its dissolution. This Su-27 acquisition, otherwise known in China as Project 906, was a clear indicator of China's evolving self-image on the global stage. It is true that China has bought the Russian Su-27, Su-30 series and Su-35. China has almost bought the Russian Su-27-based series of fighter jets, but China has not bought the Su-34. In the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, the performance of the Su-34 was really unsatisfactory, and it was shot down several times in a row. China did not buy the Su-34, which is really foresight. In fact, the Su-27 series fighter jets are very good fighters. From the Su-27 to the Su-35. The air superiority capability has always been at the top of the world. The Su-30 series of fighter jets are also at the forefront of the world as multi-purpose fighter jets. And what about Su-34? It just used the shape of the Su-27 series, and made the cockpit 2 pilots side by side, which is said to be in order to better communicate with each other during the attack. There are no problems with these settings. The point is that something is wrong with the Russian electronics. Although the Su-34 is called the Su-series fighter, it actually only needs a shell of the Su-27. In fact, the Su-34 no longer has the various maneuvering capabilities of the Su-27. Finally, there is another question. China buys Su-27 and Su-35, and what they want is air dominance. When buying Su-30, it is multi-purpose combat capability, and what does Su-34 do? Do you want to do frontline bombing? At that time, China had Su-27 and Su-30, which was enough. This is also the development direction of the world's military, and the United States has done the same. In other words, the Su-34 seems to be only useful to Russia. Russia also has interceptor fighters like the MiG-31, which are basically unique to Russia. This has a lot to do with Russia's vast territory and relatively few people. So Russia needs Su-34. Other countries, including China, do not need Su-34. It's no secret that the Shenyang J-11 fighter jet bears a striking resemblance to the Sukhoi Su-27. China was the first, and only foreign recipient of this advanced aviation tech from the Soviet Union before its dissolution. This Su-27 acquisition, otherwise known in China as Project 906, was a clear indicator of China's evolving self-image on the global stage. Discussions between the Chinese and the Soviets about acquiring a robust new fighter aircraft kickstarted in 1988. The Soviet Union initially suggested the MiG-29, a potent air superiority fighter designed as a counterpunch to American planes like the F-15. However, the MiG-29 failed to win China's approval. It was not the most advanced fighter aircraft the Soviets had to offer, and China had its sights set on the more sophisticated Su-27, the Soviet Union's premier fighter at the time. The Soviet Union sold 3 Su-27s to China before its collapse, after which the nascent Russian government proceeded to fulfill the remainder of the order. More notably, Russia allowed China to produce its distinct variant of the Su-27 domestically. The heavy reliance on Soviet-era military tech prompted China to take inspiration from Russia's Sukhoi Su-27 fighter jet for future development. In 1995, the Chinese Air Force secured a deal to produce 200 J-11s domestically from kits supplied by Russia. As a part of this licensing agreement, Russia insisted that the engines and avionics used in the J-11 were to be sourced from Russian manufacturers. But things didn't go as planned. Beijing annulled the agreement after the assembly of just 100 J-11s, stating that the Su-27 was no longer a suitable option. In line with China's historical tendency for independent action, Beijing later disclosed that it had continued J-11 production sans Russian participation. Experts suggest China's Shenyang Aircraft Corporation duplicated parts from the Soviet aircraft without any formal approval, which ruffled a few feathers in Moscow. Despite the controversy, the Chinese version of the J-11 boasts noteworthy specs. Powered by a single pilot, the J-11 houses two Shenyang WS-10A Taihang turbofan engines, each capable of generating 30,000 pounds of thrust. The J-11 can pull 9 GS, reach maximum speeds of Mach 2.35, and cover distances of up to 2,190 miles. It can function at heights as high as 62,000 feet and can climb at a staggering rate of 59,000 feet per minute. In terms of weaponry, the J-11 comes equipped with one Gryazev Shipunov GSH-30, 30mm gun with a 150-round capacity. Also, 10 anchor points enable it to carry a wide range of missiles, rockets, and bombs. Having served for decades, China currently hosts a fleet of 440 J-11s, making this localized aircraft a cornerstone of its air force. China's participation in global conflicts remains limited. The J-11 has not seen deployment similar to its American or Russian equivalents. But in one infamous incident, the J-11 served as a symbol of escalating tensions and shifting global alliances. In August 2014, a J-11B tracked and intercepted a U.S. Navy P-8 Poseidon over the South China Sea. Admiral John Kirby publicly acknowledged this at a press conference, noting that the interception took place 135 miles east of Hainan Island, crucially within international airspace. The J-11 made a series of audacious maneuvers around the P-8 Poseidon, even showcasing its weapon loadout, a move Kirby described as unprofessional and unsafe. The Pentagon later commented, noting that globally recognized rights to navigation and overflight permit such military activities within the exclusive economic zone of another nation.